My name is Raymond Kemp, and I have been a member of Progressive Church since August of 1996, so just a little over 20 years. I am married to my beautiful wife, Keena, and I am the father of Justin and Asa. And Justin is 10 years old, Asa is now 3. My family makeup is pretty simple. I'm the son of Wanda and Walter Kemp. My mother and father were great. They gave us, a mixture of the spiritual and a little bit of the world. My mom, being a daughter of a preacher, church was not an option. My father, though, on the other hand, knew of God, but, he chose not to go. And, my sister and I gravitated toward the church. But my family always, every weekend, got together. We were very close-knit, and I think that's what makes me who I am today, because I'm always around my family now. Through disagreements, it's still a unit, and that's kind of what I want to pass on to my kids, is that no matter what, family is everything. My father, if I had to describe him in one word, it'd be consistent. My father was consistently fun to be with, but very consistently serious too. He didn't say a lot, he didn't have a lot of words, but he was funny to be around. When he cracked jokes, throw you off because he's cracking a joke, but it's funny. But he was serious. When he was time to be serious, you knew it. And if he didn't like something today, it's not going to change 2 years from now. My father was fun, but consistent. You knew where the lines were, not to cross them. I loved him for that, and I think that's, how I model myself with my kids. I want to be, consistent, but, have clear lines. I think being raised in a home that was Christian but balanced, meaning that, James Cleveland wasn't being played in the stereo all the time, but being raised in a Christian home, it gave us a foundation, a launch point. My mom, that's kind of all she knew. She was the general manager, so she told us where to go. We were going to church. That wasn't an option, but it was a great benefit. It made me the man I am today, the organist, the drummer, and I enjoy church. Being raised in a Christian home that's balanced, it allows me to approach from the church side as well as being able to talk to people from who are in the world trying to know God. We had that balance. So I was raised in a home until about age 12. My mother and my father split. And fortunately for me, even though my father wasn't there as much after age 12, I had so many uncles to guide my steps, mainly my Uncle Lacey. He was like my father. So for me, there was really no excuses. I had some decisions to make growing up, because I could have chose the drug dealer, the gangbanger. If you talk to my aunt or my mom, I was not a really good kid. But, having that spiritual launching point helped me to get myself together. My advice to men who were raised in, homes, they're broken homes is the term they use. Focus on getting yourself better. Don't worry about what happened between your parents and, that had nothing to do with you. You focus on getting better. If you have to change the people you hang around with, so be it, And that's what I usually tell people, because people are looking for excuses to do wrong. Find an excuse to do right. So if you're a father and you don't have the ability to see your kids, I would say that, and I hear this a lot, but you have to work on yourself, build yourself. We as men begin to build ourselves and become consistent, going to work, taking care of our business on a small scale. Even if she won't let you see them, send her money anyway. Because what happens then is they can't continue. If you live contrary to what someone's saying bad or doing bad about you, they don't have a leg to stand on. God is very important. So when you're trying to see your kids, when you're trying to stay consistent, as a man, when you begin to build yourself, God will sustain you. But you also, as a man, you have to have a foundation in Christ. You can't do it without it, because Relationships, they ebb and they flow. And only a God can stabilize a family, period. The fondest memory I had of my father, as kids, we used to go camping from May to like September. This one particular time, I didn't want to go with the kids. I just wanted to sit in the van, hang around the adults. And my father was like, you know, what's wrong with you? Nothing, I just want to stay here. He's like, no, you got to go play with the kids. I just told him, I was like, you know, I don't feel like it. You know, they're not doing nothing. They're teasing me. You know, I was a chunky kid. And he said, you're my son too, though. So if they're teasing you, then you tease them back. You never let anyone dictate how much fun you're gonna have. So I got up and I took off and I went and played, and they began to start teasing and I started teasing back, and he was right, the teasing went away. And then I kind of looked over at my dad and he was watching me and he just gave me the thumbs up. And I think it was his way of, you know, making that deposit in me so that when the world does it, you know, I'm prepared. You know, I'm not gonna just go run under Papa Bear and can't function. One, I believe that you're never too old to learn. So my mantra is to study the film. And what I mean by that is there are still fathers who are older than you, who kids are successful in areas. And if you want those type of things for your kids, then you study those type of men. I don't know everything. And my kids are 10 and 3. People have 20-year-old, 30-year-old successful children. And I watch these guys parent their kids, how they parent their kids, how they talk to their sons, how they treat their daughters, how they talk to their wives, you know, the affection they have to their wives. All that's important. And so when I'm around my kids and my kids see me around my wife, you know, they see how I respect her and don't talk crazy to her and yell at her and do those things in front of them, so that when they get older, they were like, you know, my dad, he never, you know, cussed at my mother and grabbed her and did none of those things. So that is pretty much what I tell young men. Study the film, and the film is real life. Be watchful, you know, push out the bad, grab a hold as much as you can of the good, and then just try to, you know, make it your best, because you're not perfect and no one expects you to. Your kids love you regardless. So you just have to be the best dad you can be, whether at 50% or 100%. You have to be the best dad that you can be. Because, you know, like NyQuil said, you can't take a day off. So I'm dad at 50%, I'm dad at 100%. I love their mom, I love them, and they know that. I love them even if I gotta test that butt, and they know that. When it's over with, you know, you're gonna get a lesson. But, you know, that's just the truth. I want to just say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers who don't have their kids. You know, keep your heads up. You know, life, you know, if the Lord blesses you with another day, take advantage of it. If you're not a good dad, strive to get better. Take out the outside noise. And I want to send a shout out to my living fathers. First, my Uncle Lacey, love you for everything that you did for me as a kid up to the day. To my pops, Elder Starks, you know, for giving me a wonderful wife, but even being that father figure in the absence of my father. To my Uncle Bud Freeney and to my Uncle Nathaniel Van Hook, you guys were my rocks. So that's kind of you guys became my launching point. And last but not least, even though she's not a man, my mother, for standing in the gap. You know, you were still, you know, the essence of a woman, grazing the sun, and it had to be hard. I know I wasn't perfect, but you did it anyway, and you did a great job. And I strive every day to make you proud. And you too, Auntie, because you had a hand in this, a hand and a switch, but you had a hand in. And I love you all, and thank you for the deposits that you made in my life, and I will pass that on to my kids as well. Thank you. Happy Father's Day.